Hello, spider friends. We're here to talk about The Mandalorian. So, we're going to talk about two episodes, 6 and 7. Basically, what happened is I normally watch it on a Friday at my friend's house, but last week it was his Christmas due for his works, so we ended up skipping it, so we just watched it tonight, and episode 7, which should have not have been available, but was. Um, we just watched them both together after we'd been to see Rise of Skywalker. So yeah, you're getting a treat, a treat. So episode 6 is what I would call a filler episode. It had a few people in it what I recognised. Clancy Brown, I kind of recognised straight away, but I was like, I know this face. I know this face. Where do I know this face? Is this Clancy Brown? And it was Clancy Brown. Aka, Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob SquarePants. Also, the baddie in Highlander. Also, it's Clancy Brown. Just appreciate him. It's Clancy Brown. He's in everything, and I love him. So he was this red horny guy. And then there was like a lady Twi'lek, and I was like watching it going, I know who this is, I know who this is. Why can't I figure out who this is? And it was Natalie Tennant, and I didn't know until I saw her name under credits at the end, and I was like, oh, of course, it was the teeth throwing me off. And then there was a robot what was voiced by Richard Ayoade from the IT Crowd, which I've not watched. And Shannon Elizabeth's ex-husband, Shannon Elizabeth, the nude girl from the American Pie movies, her husband really was punching above his weight when he married her, but they're divorced now, so it's fine. They're doing like a prison break. It's a filler episode, but it was a fun filler episode. Like, the Mandalorian gets this crew, and they go onto this prison ship, and they're supposed to release this guy, and they double cross him, but he ends up like capturing them all and putting them into prison cells, and then he escapes with the baby. So it was very much like a fillery episode, but that's not necessarily a bad thing when you have a filler episode. Sometimes you just need a break from the overall plot, but it was still tense in parts because the baby's always, poor little baby Yoda, the Yodeling, he needs a name, and he was in peril yet again, but he was fine. And then episode 7 is the one that is really, really interesting. So Carl Weathers, what was the man who was in charge of the bounty hunter guild, tells the Mandalorian, come back. Werner Herzog has sort of taken over, and we want rid of him. Help us get rid of him and kill the stormtroopers. You can take the kid, and I'll take back my planet, and everyone's happy. So the Mandalorian being like a bit stupid, but not as stupid as other people in Star Wars, he goes, right, okay, I will go, but I'm going to take some backup. So he goes and gets the fighty shock trooper lady, and then he goes and gets Nick Nolte, the pig man. What has a name? He's called Quill. And some of the walking sperm fish, and like goes to the planet where Werner Herzog and Carl Weathers are, and the plan is that they're going to take the baby to Werner Herzog and then double cross him, but their plans are foiled because they speak them out loud. This is a rule in any film, in any TV show. If they discuss the plan out loud, the plan will go wrong. If it's a movie, if it's a TV show, it doesn't matter what it is, if they say, this is the plan, and then go through the steps of the plan, that will not happen. So they went through the steps of the plan, so we knew it wasn't going to happen. And what happened was, when they're camping at night, some space dragons came and attacked their camp, and they killed some of the sperm fish, and they took one of the guys that Carl Weathers had brought with him, and then Carl Weathers' arm had been bitten, and he's like, oh no, I'm gonna die, but the baby Yoda comes and force heals him, which we were like, Well, this was fortuitous and coincidental that this happened on the day that we went to see Rise of Skywalker and this force power was introduced to the Star Wars universe. So Baby Yodeling, like, heals Carl Weathers and, like, cures his arm. And Carl Weathers at that point decides he's not going to betray the Mandalorian like he'd been planning to. So the new plan is they're going to go in there without the baby, and the Nick Nolte Pigman is going to take the baby back to the ship. So they go in, and Werner Herzog's all like, oh, come in, have a drink. I'm really annoyed about this Mandalorian, but, you know, I want the baby. Let me look at the baby. And Carl Weathers is like, oh, it's sleeping. And so he's like, all right, well, I believe you. And then he gets a phone call from a Moff Gideon, who is, he was Pierce's brother in Community, and also I believe he was in this show that I've not seen, but apparently is, like, really popular. It was called, like, Breaking Bad. Like, apparently he was in that. So he's like, you're gonna call him, and he's like, oh, the baby's not in there. They're tricking you. And then they shoot Werner Herzog through the wall and kill him. And they shoot through the wall, and all the stormtroopers get killed. But, like, our hero, the Mandalorian, and Carl Weathers, and the lady as well, they're all fine. But then outside, what gathers is some, like, black helmeted stormtroopers. I'm sure they probably have a name. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure they probably do. And then other stormtroopers arrive as well, who are all in shiny uniform, because the ones that had been with Werner Herzog, it was all scuffed and wearing off, and it was like, oh, these guys have been a bit rough. And then Moff Gideon turns up in his, like, customized TIE fighter thing, what's wings flip down, and, like, raises him up on a lift. It was extremely extra. And he's like, you have no idea what this child means to me. You have no idea what it is. And, like, the child had been using its force powers a lot, so clearly, like, the Mandalorian has no idea what the force is. Because otherwise he would be like, oh, that force choke that he was doing, that's the force. Yes, because the Mandalorian and the lady, they're having, like, this wrestling match, and he sees that the Mandalorian's losing, and Baby Yodeling is like, that is my daddy, that is not my daddy, I will stop, not my daddy. So he force chokes her a bit, and he's like, no, 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 tiny child, we are friends, don't do that, don't do that. So, like, the Baby Yoda's been using a lot of his powers. And then at the end of the episode, Nick Nolte, the pig man, Quill, him and his sperm fish are killed. And the Empire seizes the baby. Which I said was going to happen. I said when we finished the season, it's either going to be in the last episode or the penultimate episode that the Empire will acquire the child, and either it'll end on a cliffhanger or the Mandalorian will get him back. But that is pretty much what I said was going to happen. And again, it's not a bad thing necessarily that things follow tropes and have predictable plot lines, because it's all in the presentation. And also, the robot, what was played by Taika Waititi in the first episode, is back. The Nick Nolte Pigman resurrected him and reprogrammed him to be like, hello, I'm a robot and I carry tea. So the next episode is directed by Taika, so that'll be interesting. If you don't know who Taika is, he is the guy what directed Thor Ragnarok. He also played Cog. He also did the movie What We Do in the Shadows, and he was in that as well, and he also, like, created the TV show What We Do in the Shadows. If you haven't seen it, go see it because it is excellent. So yes, that is where we are in the penultimate episode of The Mandalorian. The heroes are all pinned down by stormtroopers, and I mean there's a lot of stormtroopers, and a Moff, and our other friend is dead and the baby's been taken. What will happen in the final episode? My prediction is either The Empire will seize the baby, they'll take the baby off, and the Mandalorian will swear revenge and go off vowing he's gonna return, he's gonna get the baby. Or he'll get the baby back before the end of the episode and he'll go off and he'll be like, well, at least now the client's not looking for the baby, so I can raise my son in peace. But I don't think that that's necessarily the way it's gonna go. We're gonna have to wait and see on this one, I'm afraid. But overall, like, The Mandalorian is probably, like, one of the best shows out right now, and I really hope they don't mess it up. Because I've fallen in love with shows before and had my heart broken. I'm looking at you, Game of Thrones. So, I want to thank you very much for watching. What will be upcoming will be some more film review things, just because I'm having fun doing them. And right now, it's wintertime, and pretty much all my spiders are just like, we're doing nothing, we're just burying ourselves because it's a bit cold. So there's not really much to report on. Fluffy, my Phormictopus aurotus, he molted the other day, but I mean, they're not really doing much because it's getting into that sort of weather time where they're not particularly very active, even though it's like, it's not like they're freezing, it's just, it's colder than what they're used to. So, yes. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. If you ring the notification bell, you will know when I am live streaming, because I tend to live stream rather than upload because I'm really lazy. So, hopefully I'll see you again next time.